If you're watching this right now, I want you to take a breath. Just one slow, quiet breath. Because something brought you here today, and it wasn't random. It wasn't boredom. It wasn't coincidence. The universe has a funny way of placing exactly the right message in front of you at exactly the right moment, and today, this is yours. You didn't stumble onto this video. You were guided here. And before we even get into the energy I'm picking up for you, I want you to feel that. Feel the fact that something in you was drawn to this title, to these words, to this exact moment in time. That pull you felt? That's your intuition already talking to you. And today, we're going to listen to it together. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. If you're new to this space, this is a place of honest, heart-centered energy readings. I don't do fluff. I don't do vague generalities. I go deep, and I go real, because that's what you deserve. If something in today's reading lands for you, I want you to let me know in the comments. Your words genuinely mean everything to me, and they help this community grow into something beautiful. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you never miss a reading that was meant to find you. Okay. Let's get into it, because the energy today is powerful. There is someone in your life, or someone connected to your energy right now, who has been carrying something heavy. And I mean heavy in the way that a person carries a secret they've rehearsed saying out loud 100 times but never actually said. You know that feeling, right? When you have something sitting right at the edge of your lips, and every single time you get close to saying it, something inside you pulls back. Fear. Pride. Shame. Or maybe just this terrifying vulnerability of being truly, completely seen by another person. That's what's happening in this energy. Someone has been living inside their own head, going back and forth, writing a script in their mind of how a conversation might go, imagining your reaction, imagining their own words, and then quietly closing that door again before anything gets spoken. And what I'm feeling is that they've been doing this for a while. This isn't new. This has been building, quietly, underneath everything that looks normal on the surface. Now, what makes this energy particularly interesting is that there are two things happening at the same time for this person. On one level, they've been doing real, internal work. Not the kind you can see from the outside. Not the kind they post about or talk about openly. The quiet kind. The 3 a.m. kind. The kind where you finally look at your own patterns and go, oh, I see what I've been doing. And that kind of awakening, that moment of honest self-reckoning, changes a person. It shifts something at the root level. And when that shift happens deep enough, it starts to push its way up toward the surface. Toward other people. Toward you. So what they've been terrified to say out loud is directly connected to who they are becoming. Not just who they feel for you, though that's absolutely part of it. But also what they've realized about themselves. About the walls they built. About the ways they've been closed off, or unavailable, or scared, or too proud to admit what they actually want. And now? All of that is starting to crack open. Let me paint a picture for you of what's been going on inside this person's inner world, because the energy here is layered and it deserves to be fully understood. Think about someone who has been functioning in a kind of emotional autopilot. Going through the motions of their day, maybe their work, maybe their responsibilities, maybe even their other relationships, but always with this low hum of something unresolved sitting underneath everything. That's been them. They've been busy. They've been doing things. But there's been a distance between who they show the world and what's actually true inside of them. And part of what's been true inside of them is something they haven't fully wanted to admit, even to themselves, about their own life. About their sense of stability, of worth, of what they actually have to offer. There's been some honest confrontation happening on that level. And this is important, because when a person starts to look clearly at themselves, at what they've been avoiding, at where they've been careless, at what they've let slip through their fingers, that kind of honesty requires real courage. And what I'm seeing is that this person has finally started to find that courage. It's not easy to stand in front of your own reflection and admit that some of the walls you've built weren't protecting you. They were just keeping you alone. And when someone gets to that realization, something tender opens up inside them. Something that desperately wants connection. Something that starts reaching, even if quietly, even if imperfectly, toward the people who matter most to them. And you matter to this person. Deeply. I need you to hear that, even if the way they've shown it, or failed to show it, hasn't made that obvious. The depth of feeling is there. It's been there. But it's been tangled up in all this other internal noise, this mess of insecurity and old wounds and fear of actually reaching out and being turned away. Here's what I think you need to understand about the psychological undercurrent of everything this person has been going through, because it explains a lot of the silence. A lot of the back and forth. A lot of the moments where you probably thought they were pulling away when really, they were just drowning in their own fear. This is someone who, at some point in their past, learned that vulnerability leads to pain. That opening up gets used against you. That asking for what you truly want exposes you in a way that can feel unbearable. And so they became someone who controls. Who manages. Who stays a few steps back from the edge of true emotional honesty, because standing right at that edge has never felt safe. And here's the tragic part of that pattern, it doesn't look like fear from the outside. It looks like independence. It looks like confidence. It looks like someone who doesn't need anyone. And for a long time, they've let people believe that. Maybe they've even let you believe that. But underneath it, there's someone who wants nothing more than to be truly known. To stop performing a version of themselves and just be. Be real. Be seen. Be accepted exactly as they are. That's the fear underneath everything. Not just the fear of saying something to you. But the deeper, older fear of what happens if they do, and it doesn't go the way they hope. What if they finally open up, finally strip away all the armor, and it's still not enough? What if they let themselves be completely honest and they still lose? That thought has been keeping them frozen. Because losing you while still wearing armor is survivable. Losing you after you've fully shown yourself is something else entirely. But here's where the energy starts to shift, and this is the part one really want you to sit with. Something has changed recently. And I don't mean something small and subtle. I mean something has actually shifted in this person, at a core level. Like a door that's been locked for years has started to open, not because someone forced it, but because they finally decided to unlock it themselves. That kind of shift doesn't happen on a timeline we control. It happens when a person reaches a point where staying closed hurts more than the risk of opening up. And I believe this person has reached that point. There's this beautiful energy coming through of someone standing in the middle of their own becoming. Like they've been in a long, dark, uncomfortable process of shedding an old version of themselves, a version that was more defended, more avoidant, more scared, and what's emerging now is something softer. Something more real. Something that actually knows its own value, not because of what they accomplish or what they project, but just because of who they are. And that realization, that simple, profound realization of I am worth being honest about, is directly connected to what they're about to bring to you. Because once a person truly starts to believe in their own worth, they stop hiding. Not all at once, and not without some trembling. But they stop hiding. The words that have been sitting in their chest, the things they've been terrified to say out loud, those things start to feel less like a risk and more like a truth that simply needs to be spoken. So the movement toward you is real. The admission that's coming, whatever specific form it takes, is real. And it's been earning itself through everything they've been walking through lately. I want to speak directly to you now for a moment, because this reading isn't just about them. It's also about you. While this other person has been doing their internal work, I think you've been doing some of your own. And part of that work has been learning, or relearning, to trust what you know. Not what you wish were true. Not what you've been told. Not what looks good on paper or makes logical sense. But what you actually feel, in your gut, in that quiet place inside you that doesn't lie. You've had moments where you knew. Where something in you said this connection is real even when the circumstances were confusing. You've had moments where you felt the pull so strongly that you almost reached out yourself. And you've also had moments of doubt, moments where you wondered if you were reading too much into things, seeing what you wanted to see, or simply holding on to something that wasn't holding back. Let me be clear with you, your knowing is not delusion. Your intuition about this connection is not wishful thinking. What you've been sensing beneath the surface of this person's behavior is accurate. The love is there. The recognition is there. The desire to close the distance between you is there. You haven't been imagining it. And the fact that you've held steady in your own clarity, even when the outward signals were confusing, speaks to a real strength in you. This is not the time to shrink. This is not the time to second guess what you know. This is actually the time to let yourself be open, not in a desperate way, not in a way that abandons your own dignity or your own needs, but in a way that allows what's real to actually move. Because when this person finally says what they've been holding, you want to be ready to receive it from a place of groundedness. From a place of knowing your own worth. And your worth is not conditional on how they respond. Your worth is not something they give you or take away. That's something I need you to really internalize, because one of the most powerful things you can bring to any connection is the solid, unshakable knowing that you are enough, exactly as you are, regardless of what anyone else is brave enough to say. So what does the outcome look like? What's actually coming? What I'm feeling is a conversation. An honest one. The kind that feels almost relieving when it finally happens, even if it's a little messy at first. This isn't the kind of admission that comes perfectly packaged with a bow on top. It might come sideways. It might come in a moment that feels almost accidental, where one of them finally says the thing they've been holding and then goes very quiet, waiting. Listening for how you receive it. There's vulnerability on the horizon. Real vulnerability. And with it, a genuine opportunity to build something new on ground that's actually honest. Not a version of this connection that's been performing or managing or protecting. But something that breathes. Something that can actually grow, because it's rooted in truth. The energy around the longer-term future of this is hopeful. There's movement. There's progress. There's a sense of crossing from something old into something new together, like there's a bridge between where this has been and where it's going. And the path forward becomes much clearer once the words that have been held back are finally allowed to exist in the space between you. My guidance for you right now, as we close out this reading, is this. Hold your center. That doesn't mean hold your distance. It means hold yourself. Stay rooted in who you are, in what you know, in what you deserve. Don't make yourself smaller to make this easier for them. Don't abandon your own needs out of relief that they're finally showing up. Receive what's coming with warmth, and also with the quiet confidence of someone who never needed someone else's words to confirm their value, even though it's beautiful to finally hear them. Be patient with the process. Real emotional growth in another person doesn't look like a fairy tale. It looks like awkward starts and honest conversations and small, consistent moments of choosing closeness over comfort. That's what's unfolding here. And it's worth honoring. And trust yourself. I'll say that again, trust yourself. The voice inside you that has been saying this matters, this is real, this is worth staying open for, listen to it. It hasn't led you wrong. If you're someone who loves going deeper on this kind of energy work, I do offer personal readings for those who feel called to get a more specific message tailored entirely to their situation. You can find the link in the description below. I also do extended readings and guidance sessions if you're working through something particularly complex. No pressure, but know that the door is always open if you feel like your energy is asking for something more personal. And to close, I just want you to know this: whatever is unfolding in your life right now, you are not alone in it. The universe is paying attention. The people who are meant to stay in your story are working their way toward honesty, even when it takes longer than you'd like. And you? You are standing in a version of yourself that is ready. Ready to receive truth. Ready to give it. Ready to let something real be exactly what it is. Whatever resonated in today's reading, I would genuinely love to hear from you. Drop a comment below, even just a number from 1 to 10 for how accurate this felt, or share what word or moment hit you the hardest. Your comments light this community up, and they remind me that this work matters.